Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Have you ever stopped to think about just how, well, massive the market for playing cards and board games actually is these days? It might kind of feel like a niche thing, maybe, but honestly, we're looking at a really dynamic, fast-growing area. So for this deep dive, we've dug into a pretty compelling market research report. It's from Cognitive Market Research, and it's called Global Board Game Market Expansion 2021-2033 Projections. Our goal here really is to cut through all that data and pull out the key stuff, the most important insights, basically give you a shortcut to understanding what's happening in this, frankly, fascinating market.
Yeah, and what's really striking, I think, isn't just the raw numbers, the scale of it all, is how these projections, they kind of mirror these deeper shifts, maybe even surprising ones, in how we're choosing to spend our free time, how we interact. It really tells a story that goes beyond just sales figures. It feels like it's about human behavior, connection, that sort of thing.
That's a really interesting point, connecting it back to human behavior. So, okay, let's dive into the financials then, the big picture trajectory from the report. So back in 2021, the global market, it was valued at a pretty robust $15.67 billion. But here's where it gets interesting. It's projected to nearly double by 2025, hitting $21.55 billion. And then it's expected to really skyrocket to about $40.79 billion by 2033.
Wow, that's quite a jump.
It is, right.
No.
And that means a consistent compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 8.3% over that whole period. Now, just to give some context, that's a remarkably healthy growth rate, especially for a market that's already pretty established. It really signals this accelerating, sustained interest. It's actually outpacing a lot of other more traditional entertainment sectors.
Right.
So what do you see as the kind of core reasons why this explosive growth?
Well, if you try and connect it to the bigger picture, like you said, human behavior, it really suggests this profound desire for something tangible, interactive experiences that give us a real break from screens, things that actually foster genuine real-world connections.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so this expansion, it's not just random. It seems to be driven by a pretty significant comeback, a resurgence in traditional gaming culture. And that's combined with how our social preferences are changing, evolving. Think about it, we're seeing constant innovation in game design, too. It's not just the old classics anymore, like Monopoly or whatever. We're talking about things like legacy games, where the story actually changes over multiple plays, or cooperative games where everyone's on the same team. Even those escape room in a box type things.
Oh, yeah, those are popular.
Exactly. And all this innovation, it's feeding a growing demand for games that are more social or educational or really strategic. Another big factor is how deeply this whole tabletop culture has sort of sunk in with millennials and Gen Z. They've really embraced it. And you can't forget the clever product stuff, too. Smart brand tie-ins, collectible editions. That all helps push the market.
So it's like a perfect storm of factors.
Kind of, yeah. It strongly points towards that digital detox trend people talk about, folks actively looking for a break from screens. Plus, a renewed focus on more communal, more family-focused entertainment. It all ties together.
That's a really powerful explanation for what's happening globally. It does make me wonder, though, with these big drivers seeming pretty universal, is this growth happening evenly everywhere? Or are we seeing regional hotspots, maybe some unexpected leaders popping up? Let's maybe shift focus now and look at Asia Pacific. The report calls it a leading growth hub.
Oh, absolutely. Asia Pacific's contribution is, well, it's monumental. The projections show it reaching almost $17.74 billion by 2033. That's huge.
17 billion, wow.
Yeah. And while the big players like China and Japan obviously have massive market shares, I mean, China alone is forecasted to go over $6 billion. Japan's looking at around $3.2 billion. But what's really, really remarkable is the explosive growth in some of the emerging markets there. Areas like Southeast Asia, Taiwan, and especially this category the report calls rest of APAC. That includes places like Vietnam, Indonesia. They're seeing some of the highest KGRs anywhere in the world. Around 9.6%.
9.6%. That's incredibly high.
It is. It just signals this massive, largely untapped potential across a whole range of different economies over there.
Those are really significant numbers for APAC. Okay, shifting gears a bit, what about North America? It's usually a dominant force in these kinds of markets. The report definitely shows it growing strongly. It's projected to hit about $8.84 billion by 2033. And the U.S. is, as you'd expect, the biggest slice of that pie, forecasted to get close to $7 billion itself.
Right.
But here's something interesting. Keep an eye on Canada and Mexico. The report suggests they're actually showing even stronger growth rates. Their CGIs are higher.
Oh, really? Like 8.9% for Canada, 9.2% for Mexico, that kind of range.
Exactly. Which kind of hints at some significant future opportunities there as tabletop gaming keeps spreading.
Interesting. Okay. And Europe. How's the picture looking there? Europe also presents this picture of really consistent, solid growth. The market across the continent is expected to grow steadily, reaching nearly $7 billion by 2033.
So similar overall size to North America eventually.
Roughly in that ballpark, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you see the strong, kind of mature markets, places like Germany, the UK, France, they're all projected to be well over $800 million each. Germany's even pushing towards $1.7 billion.
Oh, Germany's big then.
Yeah, but it's not just, the usual suspects. Southern and Eastern European countries, Italy, Spain, Russia, they're also chipping in significantly. They're showing really healthy growth rates, too, sort of mid to high sevens, low 8%. It really feels like a continent-wide embrace of board game culture.
Okay, that's pretty comprehensive. And then Africa. The report really highlights this region as an emerging market with high potential. Yeah, it's definitely a standout. The total revenue for playing cards, board games, it's expected to surge from about $1 billion in 2021 up to $3.34 billion by 2033. And get this, it's growing at an amazing 9.8% CAGR. That's the highest growth rate of all the regions we've talked about.
9.8%. That's incredible. What's driving that?
It seems to be primarily key markets like South Africa and Nigeria. Both of them are projected to break the $1 billion market size barrier by 2033. South Africa looks like it could hit $1.55 billion. Nigeria, maybe $1.19 billion. Huge growth.
Wow. Okay, so Africa is definitely one to watch. What about the Middle East? The Middle East is another one showing really significant expansion. It's projected to more than double in size, growing from just over $720 million in 2021 to over $2 billion by 2033.
Doubling, okay.
Yep. And we're seeing strong performances there, too. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Turkey. Saudi Arabia is looking at potentially $761 million, UAE around $385 million, Turkey close behind at $365 million. And importantly, they're all growing consistently above an 8% CAGR.
So strong growth across the board there, too.
Definitely indicates a kind of burgeoning interest in tabletop entertainment right across that region.
All right, and finally, just to round out this global tour, South America, how's it looking there? South America is clearly on an upward path as well. The market there is expected to grow from just over $800 million back in 2021 to nearly $2 billion by 2033.
So more than doubling there, too.
Pretty much, yeah. Brazil is the leader in the region, forecasted to get close to $900 million itself. But other countries like Argentina, Colombia, Peru, they're also making significant contributions, showing steady increases, solid growth rates. The CGR is mostly in the 7.3% to 8.4% range. So looking at all of this global picture, what really stands out to you? Seeing how these trends are playing out across such different places, it just seems so clear from this deep dive, doesn't it? The global playing card and board game market is, well, as undeniably vibrant. It's expanding everywhere. And these stats, they aren't just abstract numbers on a page, are they? They really reflect this broader cultural shift, something you might even be noticing in your own life, perhaps. This renewed appreciation for tangible interaction, maybe.
Absolutely. And it raises, I think, a really important question for you, the listener, to maybe ponder. As our lives just get more and more digital, more connected online, what fundamental human needs are being uniquely fulfilled by this enduring, tactile, and let's face it, inherently social experience of playing board games together? And maybe thinking beyond that, how might this continue to influence the future of entertainment? And maybe even the future of how we actually forge connections with each other? Something to think about.
Ever feel like board games were, I don't know, kind of fading? Especially with, well, everything digital?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Think again. Today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty surprising, the global playing card and board game market. It's not just hanging on, it's actually seeing this huge, robust expansion.
It really is quite something.
So our mission today is to figure out the how and why behind this boom, what challenges it up against and what cool new trends are shaping where it's going.
Sounds good.
Now, looking at this comeback, where do we start? Is it really just about people wanting like an offline break after the pandemic, especially millennials and Gen Z?
That's definitely a huge part of it, yeah. That renewed interest in offline social stuff is massive.
Right.
And you're spot on. There's this clear move towards screen-free things. Game nights are suddenly way more popular, especially those younger groups.
Okay.
But what's really fascinating, I think, is how deep this runs.
Yeah.
It's tied to this basic human need for, actual social connection. family time.
Ah, makes sense.
And beyond that simple offline idea, there's nostalgia,
Yeah.
big time. And the whole collectible appeal. It's not just selling old stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's tapping into this desire for tangible things,
Yeah.
shared moments, things you can't quite get online.
Like those vintage Pokemon cards everyone went crazy for.
Exactly. Or beautifully redone classic board games like Ticket to Ride, Catan, those special editions. They hit different generations. They offer comfort, connection.
In collaborations too, right?
Yeah.
I've seen Marvel games, Harry Potter.
Oh, absolutely huge. Those strategic partnerships with massive entertainment brands, they blur the lines between being a fan and actually playing. Drives a ton of sales.
Yeah, I bet.
Plus, you can't ignore the constant innovation. Game design itself is evolving. You've got these amazing narrative-heavy tabletop games like Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah, those look intense.
They are. And then hybrid games, too. Part physical board, part digital app like Mansions of Madness. The app handles maybe the story or tricky rules.
So it makes complex games more accessible.
Precisely. It pulls in people who might never have touched a traditional complex board game before. A whole new audience, basically.
Wow, okay. That really does sound like a renaissance. It makes total sense, given how much screen time we all have.
It does.
But, any industry that's booming like this, it's got to have some bumps in the road, right? It can't all be easy.
You're absolutely right. No, despite the expansion, there are some significant restraints, real challenges.
Like what?
Well, the obvious one is just the sheer competition from digital and mobile gaming. All that attention, all that spending.
Free-to-play games especially.
Exactly. Those things are addictive, and they put serious downward pressure on what people expect to pay for a traditional game. Plus, they soak up so much leisure time.
Okay. Digital competition. What else?
Then you've got the practical stuff. Production issues, supply chain headaches,
Oh.
prices for raw materials, paper, plastic, special inks, they fluctuate. Add logistical delays. Getting products out on time can be a real struggle.
Especially for smaller companies, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. Small publishers are particularly vulnerable. They just don't have the buying power or the big distribution networks. It hits them hardest.
Right.
And then there's the persistent issue of fakes, counterfeit products, knockoffs, especially online. When intellectual property rights aren't strongly enforced, these fakes just eat away at the brand's value and, of course, cut into revenue for the actual creators. It's a constant battle.
So, okay, quite a few hurdles there. Digital competition, supply chains, counterfeits. But even with all that, it sounds like the market isn't stalling. It's finding new ways.
It really is remarkably dynamic. It's actively transforming, finding new paths.
So what are some of those exciting new directions? What trends are popping up?
Well, one key trend is the rise of educational and skill-based games. And not just for kids.
Oh.
Yeah, games designed to teach STEM concepts, science, tech, engineering, math, or languages, even games to support cognitive health in adults.
Huh. So parents and schools are interested.
Serious interest from both, yeah. Parents want engaging learning tools. Schools are even working them into the classroom.
Interesting. What else?
Another really big shift is towards sustainability. Eco-friendly production.
How so?
Companies are using recycled paper, soy-based inks, designing packaging that's better for the environment. It's not just, greenwashing. It really connects with consumer values now.
People care about that stuff more.
They really do.
Right.
It could be a strong selling point, build loyalty. And maybe one of the most innovative things is subscription boxes, curated game deliveries.
Like for books, but for games.
Exactly. Imagine getting a box each month with games picked out based on what you like.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
It is. It offers convenience, sure, but also a kind of try before you buy vibe. Helps you discover games you might never find otherwise, especially smaller indie titles. Cuts down the risk of buying something you won't like.
So for you, our listener, what this boils down to is a really dynamic market. It's thriving because, well, we need that human connection. But it's also changing in these surprising, sustainable, and pretty innovative ways. It's definitely not just some dusty old hobby.
No, it's very much alive. And it really brings up an interesting question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As our lives get more and more digital, more immersed in screens, will that unique tactile feel, that, tangible social experience of physical games become even more valuable? Could that be their essential niche moving forward, that need for the unplugged connection?